Hello, this is Michael Dixon. I'm coming at you from College Station, Texas, and I'm here to teach you just a little bit about the Bandcamp audition music for 2020. First thing I want to look at is the time signature. Time signature is 4/4. It's a very common time signature, 4 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. And then you have your key signature. We're in the key of concert B flat. So we got two flats, B flat, low B flat, and middle B flat. Both finger the same. And then you have E flat at the bottom of the staff, fingered second, and then you have E flat at the top of the staff, fingered trigger third, or sometimes people call it trigger first. So those are the two most important things you need to look at when you get a new piece. Now, scanning the piece, I see that it starts off with the theme, which is nice and slow and low, and then finishes with a little bit faster notes that definitely go up much higher. So what you need to be careful with is that the end of the music is going to dictate how fast you go at the beginning. So let's listen to variation 4 for just a sec. If that's as fast as you're going to go, that's how fast the beginning needs to be. And those notes are going to seem extremely long, but that's where they need to be. So let's look at the theme to start with. I think a good tempo to start practicing the theme is going to be at about 60. So that's not super fast, but I like that subdivision in there. That way you can hear exactly how long the notes are going to be. So the beginning theme is mostly quarter notes and half notes with one dotted half note at the end. So it goes something like that. At this tempo, it's really slow. Those notes are going to be drawn out for a long time. So be very careful with how long you play them. And this is also a great time for you to show us what your tone sounds like. It's not pinched or splatty. It's nice and open. And don't rush through it. Let's talk about variation 1 and variation 2. First thing I notice is that you have options to play high and to play low at times. But first thing I want to talk about is measure 8. I think you can go ahead and play measure 8 down an octave so it matches measure 9. And that'll serve two purposes. A, if you look at measure 7, you finish on a low B flat. And you won't have to do that big massive jump. And you can go straight into B flat again. Which makes sense. If you want to do the octave jump and show us your skills, then feel free to. So you can stay up high for those two measures and then jump back down in measure 10. Moving forward, you have a couple of different articulations to be careful with. Measure 10, you have a tongue and a slur on beat 2 with a little small jump. And then in measure 11, you have a strange set of slurs at the end. So you got to be careful with that. So that you can finish there. Now, moving on to variation 2. If you finish on the high B flat, now it makes more sense to choose the upper variation on variation 2 so you don't have to jump an octave lower. Now, if you struggle playing high, you can stop and go ahead and choose to do the lower octave. Pause for a sec. So there's several different options for you to do what's best for you. Looking at all of variation 2, part of the difficulty with this is making sure that you can tongue and slur in the correct place. Each measure has a little bit different slur pattern, so be very careful when you do this. Very nice. So, playing that slow at the beginning is definitely going to work better for all students. Learn it slow and then speed it up. First thing I want to notice about variation 3 is the key has changed. We went from having 2 flats to having no flats. So now we're in the key of C, no flats, no sharps. Okay, let's start by looking at measure 18. If you notice, we have a different rhythm in there. We've been doing quarter notes and eighth notes. Now we have a dotted 8/16 note. So let's count measure 18. Ready? And count. 1, 2, 3, ta, 4, te. So you got to be very careful with that rhythm. And looking at the end of variation 3, we also have 16th notes to deal with now. So let's count measures 22, 23, 24, and 25. Ready? And count. 1 ta te ta 2 4 te. 1 ta te ta 2 4 te. 1 2 3 4. 1 ta te ta 2 ta te ta 3. So it's really not that bad. Notice in measure 18, we do have a choice to go high or low. If you can play high, feel free to play high. It sounds really nice. You can kind of show off your high range there just a little bit. Okay, looking at the second half, notice the decrescendo in measure 20 and 21. We're gonna take the volume down just a little bit, but then if you notice in measure 21, we still have the accidentals that are there from the previous keys. So we have E flats and B flats as well. Okay, but in measure 22 and moving forward, those naturals are occurring in the E's and the B's, so be careful. So like at measure 22, we have an E natural. And then at the very end of measure 25, we have a B natural. Those are the two notes that you're probably going to miss. So let me perform measures 22, 23, 24, and 25 for you. Alright, let's look at variation 4. First thing I notice about variation 4 is we're still using 16th notes like we did in variation 3, but now we have some added articulation patterns, okay? But first, let's go ahead and count this. Ready? And count. 1, te, ta, 2, ta, te, ta, 3, te, 4, te. 1, ta, te, ta, 2, ta, te, ta, 3. 1, te, ta, 2, te. 3 ta te 4. 1 ta te ta 2 ta te ta 3. And we stop. We don't have a beat 4 because that happens in variation 5. So let's take this measure by measure and we'll kind of walk ourselves through it. Looking at measure 26, it's just a straight C scale on the way up with some nice articulation. Those dots mean staccato, so we're going to play them short and separated. Did you get the B natural in there? I hope you did. So look at measure 27. We have a B flat as an accidental that carries through the measure, so make sure you play both B flats correctly with a couple of staccato notes in. Now the next measure is a little bit different. Starts with an A flat. We're going to use trigger and 2 and 3 or trigger 5. Well, we start with the long note, immediately play 2 short notes, slur to the E flat, up to the G, and then we have that rhythm 3-ta-te, but be careful to play the E flat in that measure that carries through, and then finish with 2 long notes. Kind of strange sounding, and then the end is just a couple of little scalar patterns. Did you get that B natural in there? Now let me play the whole thing for you. Let's talk about variation 5. It's the last variation of the piece. First thing I want to mention is that we're still in the key of C, so B naturals and E naturals apply, but there is a time signature change in measure 31 where we go from 4/4 time to 2/4 time. So be ready to count. When we count it, you'll notice that there's a change in the counting. We have some accidentals every now and then that play out in this piece. Only one of them carries through, it looks like, in measure 35. So we've got to be careful with that. Okay, let's start by counting this variation. Set and count. Ta te ta 1, te ta 2, te ta 1 ta te 2 te 1, te ta 2, te ta 1 ta te 2 te 1 ta te ta 2 ta te ta 1 te 2 1 te ta 2 ta te ta 1 te 2. Pretty simple, isn't it? Now, playing variation 5 is going to show off your technique and your style, whether or not you can play with a nice short style versus a nice long style, and really get our fingers involved in the business. So let's look at the whole line, the first line of variation 5, and that pickup still is one of the most important parts. Got to play B natural. So in my mind, I'm thinking 1 ta te ta 2 ta te ta 3 ta te ta ta te ta 1. So I'm subdividing my mind before I even play that variation. Okay, coming into it from variation 4, you will subdivide 1 ta te ta 2 ta te ta 3 ta te ta 1. So that should help you. Okay, noticing the style and the articulations, we've got lots of short notes in there, and it goes up a little bit high for French horn. Okay, let me play some of this for you and see if we can hear what it sounds like. Did you hear the differences in note length? There's some really short notes in there, but in measure 34 and measure 33, there's some long notes, and they sound completely different. So you can definitely make some contrast there. Playing the last line of the piece, you have some scalar. You have another B natural moving up, so be careful with B natural. Right up the scale, you have an E flat that carries through, so be careful. Now last 2 measures, back down the scale, but we're going to come down the scale and play a nice octave jump at the end. So there you have it. You're welcome to play a nice little guitar there at the end and make it musical. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, you're welcome to email me at mdixon@csisd.org. That's MDIXON @csisd.org, and I'd be happy to help you with any questions that you have.